Jimi Hendrix once famously said on a talk show in 1969, link below, and I'm paraphrasing here, that compliments make him feel awkward and he doesn't like them. I agree. Compliments make me feel weird too. But only when they're done a certain way. Sometimes they feel good. And what I'm going to explain to you is the right way to do it and the wrong way to do it. And also this is going to lead into expectations and whether you should have expectations of people or not and how to do that properly. So stick around and keep watching and maybe you'll learn a little something. So first, the compliment thing. Yeah, compliments almost always make me feel awkward, but not if they're done a certain way. People have done it to me in the awkward way, and I've known a couple of people that do it in a really good way. So usually it's people that are less experienced with being social and developing equal relationships that do it the wrong way. It's usually people that are, I'm trying to think of the way to say this without sounding condescending, but people that are not at my level in whatever I'm doing, or don't have the potential to easily be at my level at what I'm doing. Those are the people who give odd compliments. Let me give you an example. I play guitar, like the old Hendrix, and I don't consider myself a very good guitarist, but I love it, and I will play all day if given the opportunity and don't have much else to do. And yeah, sure, I'll come up with some cool stuff, but also in there, I'm going to riff around and come up with some terrible stuff. I don't find myself to be particularly good, but given enough time and enough chances, eventually I'll come up with something good. And it's like that for about anything and any hobby, I think Hendrix would agree. He was a jammer. He didn't study. He didn't know theory. He would just jam, and eventually he'd come up with something good. And people were like, "Oh, he's the best." No, he didn't think he was the best. He just got good. So when people suddenly come at you like, "Oh my goodness, you are like so good at that. You're the best." I can't. Oh my! And they're just like in awe. It's like, don't be in awe, man. All I did was sit here and strum and mess around till I came up with it. Anybody could do that. It's not really that special. It's just like, are you willing to spend time on it? Then it can happen. And, he felt the same. And I think that's why he felt awkward about all the compliments he got. And that's often why I feel awkward about compliments, because I feel like the things I'm doing, anybody could do. Don't compliment me for it. If you want to do it, go do it. You don't have to be impressed by me. I mean, you can be inspired by me. And, that's something I've learned to take in stride over time. Like, I used to get awkward and try to compliment the person back, and then the whole conversation would start feeling weird. Now I've learned to just say thanks and kind of move on. And, it's good to have your work appreciated. So that's something I think if, Hendrix was able to keep on going with his thing, would have eventually realized and probably took in stride better. Because it did take me a while. I don't think in my 20s I was good at taking compliments. But once I got to my 30s, I think I started to figure it out a little better. So I started taking them better. And even if I noticed it was an awkward compliment, I would still just say thanks. And a lot of that came from performing and stuff. As when I was in a band, I did perform. I would get compliments when I feel like I didn't deserve them, and I couldn't really, and they were often fans, so I couldn't really, discredit their compliments. But also, when that happens, it's really hard to tell if the person is being sarcastic or not, because to you it feels like, okay, I'm not really doing anything that special. I'm strumming power chords, for God's sakes. Anybody could strum power chords. You don't need to thank me. But okay. So based on that, it feels like to you, when you're just like, doing something pretty basic and someone really loves it, it's hard to tell if they see how basic it is and are making fun of you, or if they genuinely don't know and it just sounds good to them and they do appreciate it. So it's really hard to detect if they're being sarcastic or not. Chances are they're not. The majority of the time they're not, because if they are, they should be giving you some kind of signal like that it's sarcastic. Otherwise they're just bad at communicating. So most likely they are actually impressed and just don't know that it's not that hard of a thing. So that whole thing makes it a bit awkward. But just roll with it. Just say thanks. So you might be asking at this point, so how do I properly give a compliment without it sounding awkward and making everything awkward? I think the best way is just a simple, I like it, and a nod. That's it. Someone does something, someone says something, you just kind of give them, the thumbs up, just like, I like it, nice, I like the sound, cool. Anything like that is excellent. And that can lead into your questions about the thing. It's like, I like what you did there. Can you walk me through your thought process? I want to understand, or something like that. Perfect way to compliment someone without it making it feel awkward, because you're giving them something to go off of rather than just like, if you just say, "Oh, that was amazing," the only reply that the person can have is thanks. That's it. But if you say that you like it, and to ask them a follow-up question, they can start talking about it, and they know that you're interested because you like it, and it's it's a great conversation starter, and that's way better way to do it. Now, the reason I am no longer impressed by people and no longer place what I want to say, duties on people that I 100% expect them to do, is because expectation leads to disappointment. I'm sure you guys have all heard that. It's a pretty common mantra or whatever, wisdom. It's a pretty ancient wisdom that if you have expectations of somebody, you're going to be disappointed. It's a guarantee. I think it's often why employees get in trouble from their bosses. Their bosses place expectations on them. Employee doesn't meet the expectations. Boss gets a little upset, etc., etc. Pretty understandable thing. But even as a boss, you shouldn't place that kind of expectation on someone, especially above their means. I think it's better to place an incentive on somebody to let them know that how much they would be appreciated if they do it, to give them some outs just in case they can't, that are acceptable. Like, look, I really need this done by the end of the day. If you could do it, that would be so much appreciated. And look, if it gets to whatever time and it doesn't look like it's going to be done, just let me know as soon as possible. It's not a big deal. I just need to know. That way I can make accommodations. And that way there's no disappointment. Like, they'll try to get it done because they want to be appreciated. And maybe there can be other incentives. It doesn't have to always be appreciation. But you can't go wrong with appreciation because, hey, it's free to give and people love it. So you can't go wrong with that. So if they're not getting it done, they have an out of saying, look, I can't quite get it done, and they know that's going to be acceptable because you already explained that, and then that makes you feel okay too. So the area where this becomes not okay and is more of a gray area, I won't even say if it's gray, it's actually a black area, or white, I guess it depends how you look at it. Black meaning bad, white meaning good, no racial implications intended. Just okay, just trying to make the variation with the gray be in the middle. The lack of communication is the only thing that could be a problem here, and that's all bad. So, for example, it comes to the end of the day, they didn't send you a communication saying they couldn't get it done, so you expect that it's probably done, and you're like, all right, cool, day's over. Didn't send me a communication saying they couldn't quite get it finished, so we're good to go. And then you find out later that it didn't get done, and they just didn't say anything. And you were pretty sure, you were pretty darn clear about it. Then what? Where do you go from there? Because now you're disappointed. And in this situation, I think you have every reason to be, because they failed at the social contract of communicating to you. And that's actually really bad on every level you can imagine, every fundamental level of human relationships. So when that happens, well, I think it's fair to do what you deem necessary. Express your disappointment. Okay. Hey, side rant, driving sucks. It's nice being on a 70-mile-per-hour highway and going 20 miles per hour. Probably soon to be a dead stop, but whatever. We'll roll with it, literally. So if someone breaks that social contract of not keeping you updated, and I've been on the receiving end of this too. I've broken that contract and learned the hard way. So don't feel too bad about yourself. You know, I also learned recently the number one predictor of success is empathy for yourself. Not being hard on yourself actually predicts success. If you're hard on yourself and mean to yourself, you're less likely to be successful. Keep that in mind. So be kind to yourself. You will make mistakes. So if you break that social contract of not updating whoever you needed to update it when you weren't going to get the thing done, you've done messed up. You've done screwed up, and you need to recognize that. Don't be too mean to yourself, but you got to recognize it, and you got to have something. If you have nothing, you're done. Like, it's perfectly reasonable for that person to cut you off. It's perfectly reasonable for that person to fire you. You should honestly expect to be fired, and maybe you want to. In fact, I would honestly think that if someone did that they're not interested. They don't want to do this. They want to be fired in a way. They want to do something else. And you know, that's perfectly fine. But it'd be even more fine if you were just open about it to begin with, and we didn't have to go through this whole awkward thing of you purposely disappointing, you know? That kind of thing. So, I've been there too. I'm not trying to say that I'm better than anyone, that I never do it or whatever. I've done it. But I try my hardest not to do it anymore because I realize how bad it is. And that just came with experience. So the only way I learned that was by messing up myself and time. Even though it's that obvious of a thing, it still happens. So now you know. Maybe you can learn from me and not do it. It's really beneficial to build up your reputation in your profession. Whatever you want to do in life, I do believe that you should remain consistent and attempt to build up that reputation by completing your duties, not breaking these social contracts. If you can get something good done, great. If not, it's your duty to update whoever you're working with. So if you don't do that, it truly looks bad on you, and you're losing credit in the thing you want to do, presumably. And presumably, the thing you want to do isn't actually what you want to do. It's a weird thing, but you know, that's the way it goes. And that's what I think. So, hope this helps somebody. Don't place expectations. Place incentives. And don't be disappointed. If you are disappointed, make sure there's a darn good reason. So I'm just recapping, in case people are wondering why I'm repeating. If you are disappointed, it needs to be for a social contract reason, not for the actual work. Ultimately, it's your duty to get the work done if you want it done, not the other person's. Alrighty. Yeah, and it's their duty to uphold the social contract, not necessarily get the work done. So that's the point there. Tricky one. I know. Gotta merge. Alright, I'm out. Keep it real, folks. I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to leave a comment down below of whatever you think about this whole thing. Did I leave anything important out? Maybe I did. I probably did. And don't forget to smash the like button. Come on. I need your help. I'm only at 95 subs, and you know, I'd love to keep this channel going, but I gotta see something. I gotta see some thumbs, some kind of moving forward. All right, I'm out. See ya.